Beauty kicked me off their PR list, but let's review this anyway. The new Huda Beauty Empowered Eyeshadow Palette. This is the brand new launch. I believe that this is like their holiday palette for the year, and I am very curious to see if this is actually worth all of the hype. Now, you guys probably remember, I've been a bit 50-50 on Huda Beauty eyeshadow palettes. Some have worked for me, others I flat out do not recommend because I just think that they are a waste of money. But this one, I mean, I obviously haven't used it yet, but she kind of has a bit of a hold on my heart. Oh, if this disappoints me, honestly, I'm gonna be pissed. So like all of my eyeshadow palette review videos, we're gonna be doing swatches, we're gonna be looking at the formulas close up, the packaging, everything, and then I'm gonna be creating a look using the palette and hopefully it comes out. I mean, it'd want to for how much money I spent on this. So the box that she comes in is really pretty. It's gold, it's sparkly, and sparkly things make me happy. It says Empowered over the front, Huda Beauty. You've got a bunch of information on the back there, and then the actual palette itself. Literally stunning. It's got like this pixelated image in the background of Huda's eyes, and you've got Empowered in gold. The actual palette itself is like a gold hard plastic. The photos online do not do this one justice, and honestly, probably the camera is not going to do this one justice, but have a look at how pretty this is. I look at this and it speaks to me. Warm tones, rich metallics, mattes, shimmers. This has got a little bit of everything. The only thing that I can see off the top of the bat, as a first impression sort of looking at this palette, is it doesn't have any really fair shades for highlighting the brow bone or for setting down like a cream eyeshadow primer or anything. That is the only thing I'm seeing here. Other than that, I love all of the colors in this. Like, she is just stunning. It is so rich and luxe looking. It feels very, very heavy, good quality. It's got a nice big mirror in it there. Now, like I said, she is expensive, $67 USD. It's going to cost you 103 Australian dollars here. You can get it off the Huda Beauty website, or you can get it off Sephora and Sephora Australia. Now, the other thing that is interesting about this one is it actually comes with two cream shadows. So this deep burgundy here and this deep black in the corner, both of these are actually cream formulas. Apparently they can be used as an eyeliner, as an eyeshadow base, or just as an eyeshadow. And then you've got this really interesting one here. See this like bizarre, it almost looks like it's got like a wet smear through the middle. This one's meant to be like a gel eyeshadow hybrid. I haven't swatched it, I haven't tested it, I don't know, but apparently, according to the Huda Beauty website, it's going to leave like a really intense, metallic, creamy, foiled effect on the eye. And one more feature, sorry, I'm just going through what's on the website here. Crushed gold flake right here. I mean, now obviously what's going to be even more important than opening this and literally falling over backwards are whether or not these actually work on the eyes. Now that's where my issue with Huda Beauty eyeshadows have come in the past. Like the palettes, I've just found like they've blended out into nothing. They've been patchy. They've been all, viral, hyped up sort of eyeshadows. And then, yeah, in real life, they just didn't perform. So let's put this to the test and let's do some swatches of all of the shades. So I'm swatching this one in two parts. This first batch here, we've got a lot of the shimmers and a lot of the cream formulas that are in this palette. Now, I will say, and I'm sad to have to say this, but I did find the swatches to be quite underwhelming. And I'm just like, no, Huda, don't do this to me. These colors look so intensely rich in the pan. But in the swatches, they just kind of fell flat a little. Now, the cream shadows, I will say, firstly, they don't actually set down. They do not dry down. So if you are planning on using these as an eyeliner, you are going to need to set them with something over the top. So for the black, you're going to need a matte black shadow, which does not come in the palette. And then for the dark brown, you're going to need a dark brown shadow, which also does not come in the palette. The gold flake shadow is very flaky. To get this one to really show up on the skin and certainly to show up on the eye, you're probably going to be needing to use either a glitter glue or some kind of tacky base. These shimmers look absolutely insane in the pan, but then once they're on the skin, because they are more of like a gel-like formula, all of like the shimmer particles kind of melt in together and you're left with more of like a satin finish as opposed to like a really, really rich, like full-on foiled kind of a look. And then the mattes as well, they're a very, very fine formula, but they just sort of don't carry far on the skin. So you're probably going to be needing to use a lot of the mattes to really get the pigment to show up. Those are just like my initial thoughts on the swatches. Obviously, swatches do not mean everything because things can perform entirely different on the eyes than they do in a swatch. And I'm saying it again, I was not head over heels wowed by the swatches of these, but let's move into actually creating a look on my eyes. And because there sort of is like a lot of flakiness with the shimmers, I'm not going to be doing a base first. Let's do the eyes first, and then I'll put my foundation and stuff on afterwards. So let's just quickly prime my eyes, get them prepped for shadow to give this the best chance to work. I'm staying positive. I'm hoping that we're really going to get this one to come through for us because it just really is like even just looking at it on the desk. Oh, it is so nice to look at. And one thing that I also did forget to mention is this shadow here, Get It, and this one here, Best Self. So this one and this one look literally exactly the same on the skin when they are swatched. So probably we could have switched one of these out maybe for a light bone matte would have been my preference maybe. But yeah, that's just something else to take into consideration when you are making a purchasing decision with this one. And I will be showing you, like after we've done a look, after I've created an eyeshadow look using it, I'm going to be showing you some dupes and some other palettes that look very similar to this as well. Now, as this is such a bold sort of smoky eye themed palette, let's create a bold smoky eye. So I'm going to take this matte orange shade first. You do definitely get quite a bit picking up on the brush when dipping into that one. I've sort of run out of pigment already. Going back in. Okay, that is a little better. It's still not like a super, super intense orange. Like it doesn't look, I don't know, it doesn't look the same in the pan as it looks on the eyes. Probably a good thing if you're a beginner and, you know, you find bright shadows like a little bit intimidating. I don't know, guys. I don't know. On a slightly smaller blending brush, I'm going to pick up this matte brown. I'm going to pack that one through the crease as well. Ooh, okay, so this one's really nice and pigmented. The mattes definitely feel really smooth on the eyes, that's for sure. So that's kind of like almost entirely covered up that orange shadow that we used first. I'm going to go back into the orange and I'm going to lightly dust that just along the edge. I'm not seeing any real patchiness, and we've had minimal fallout so far, so those are good signs. I feel like this matte burgundy is going to be a real test, so let's go in with this one. I'm first going to pack that in the outer corner of the crease. This is the type of shadow that I found to really fall flat in other Huda Beauty eyeshadow palettes. Like they sort of just blend it out into nothing, so if this works, I mean, things will be looking up. It's definitely adding a bit of smokiness there, and it didn't just instantly blend away, which is also good. Now let's give some of these cream shadows a run for their money. So I'm taking the Blackie, it's like a Blackie brown, it's like a dark brown. And pack that. Oh, okay, I need more. Right in the outer corner of my eye. Now, like I said, these do not set down. You actually have to set these down if you are wanting them to stay. So especially if you're wanting to do like a black winged eyeliner, you're going to need a matte black from another palette to kind of get this to work. That's applied pretty well, and I would say it's blending pretty well too. I'm going to put that on the inner corner as well. Let's do like a really intense halo smoky eye. And then I'm going to go back into probably the matte burgundy shade that we've just used in the crease. And I'm going to pat that down. Oh, okay, look at that on the cream there. That's really coming through. But that's it. See how I've dipped my brush into that shadow multiple times and then patting it on? That's as far as you can get it. Like the pigmentation, it kind of like it's like it runs out sort of after a moment. Oh no, that's looking patchy. Ugh. Maybe we need a bigger brush. Okay, let's try this one. Oh, this was a mistake, you guys, I think. I will say probably flat off the bat, the new Anastasia Beverly Hills palette, what is that called again? Oh, my brain's not working today. The new one that I reviewed just the other day, I do feel like that one is easier to work with. Doesn't look as rich and intense and doesn't have the same beautiful, beautiful packaging, but I do think it's a little bit easier to work with. Let's try the inner corner. Setting that down. I mean, it's nice and dark and smoky now, definitely. And the cream shadow did blend nicely, but not the most pigmented. Like, it's certainly not like an eyeliner formula or anything. All right, we're finally fairly well blended. I will definitely say, Yeah, I don't think that this one, like already, I don't think that this one is beginner friendly. They definitely take a lot more finessing. They definitely take a lot more blending. I had to go in with multiple layers of shadows, multiple different brushes and kind of layer things to get things looking really airbrushed. So if you're looking for a palette that's going to be super quick to throw a look together, it's probably not going to be this one. But the part that I am most excited for, we're going to be trying some of these shimmers. Now, I want to try like maybe like a copper or a bronze shimmer, and then I want to try the gold flake and just sort of see what it looks like, how it works, how it transfers. So let's go in with Do It, this really pretty shimmery copper first. When you do dip your finger into them, they literally feel like cream shadows. So I'm going to pack that right on the center of the lid. And as you can see there, I mean, it's really pretty. It's coming off with lots of pigment. I am getting a little bit of flaking off, a little bit of fallout, but you are going to get that with like an intense shimmer shadow. Of course, my eye is now watering. Love that. I'm just going to have to fix my watering eye afterwards. So that there is the copper. Let's try this really bizarre cream gel eyeshadow hybrid situation. It really is like a metallic cream shadow. Ooh, okay, that looks nice on the lid. Okay, this one is more of a liquid metallic foil formula. Like, look how cool that is. Ooh, I actually prefer that formula to this one. See how this one's sort of like already flanking off and looking a little messy? This one, I feel like just, it stays exactly where you apply it, which I love. Oh my God, there's definitely something in this that's making my eye water. Why? Yeah, my eye's getting all bloodshot. Not good, not good. Okay, let's hurry things along because honestly, if my eye keeps doing this, we're gonna lose all the makeup. Now, the gold flake. This is the one I'm really interested about. Now, this is very powdery, very loosely pressed, and there doesn't seem to be like a stickiness necessarily to the formula. Oh, look at it on my eye though. That is insanely intense. Look at that. Oh my God. I kind of feel like it's a very sort of a flaky texture. Like you can see all the fallout on my skin. It's definitely a very flaky texture, but at the same time, that looks amazing. Definitely do not do your foundation first before using these ones. You're going to get a lot of fallout. So just do foundation after, which is, you know, it's not the end of the world. It doesn't really matter. Woohoo! That is, it's like gold glitter. It is seriously like gold glitter. That is very, very pretty. And because both of those shadows were a little bit creamy and a little bit tacky, it has actually applied really well over the top of those. Had I applied this just like directly onto dry skin, see how it just turns into nothing? Like it's more of like a topper, but over a tacky base or a wet base, she comes in swinging. Okay, I'm going to clean up a little bit of this fallout and I'll put my foundation and everything on. This eye has like watered everything off, so I'll fix that as well. Do the rest of my makeup and I'll come back with my final thoughts on the Huda Beauty Empowered palette. Okay, so I've pulled a bunch of eyeshadow palettes from my collection that in my opinion are similar-ish color stories, similar-ish shades, and certainly some palettes that you may already have in your collection potentially. I know that the first one that so many of you are going to ask to see is the comparison of the brand new Anastasia Beverly Hills Rose Metals. I know I forgot the name of it earlier. It's Rose Metals. Side by side with the new Huda Beauty one. Really, I mean, looking at pictures of them online and before I actually had both of these in person, I was like, yeah, I feel like they do look kind of similar, but realistically, they're not very similar at all. This one's got like a really nice balance of warms and cools, whereas this one is very, very much warm based and has like a lot more metallics and shimmers. One that I do think does lend itself fairly well as a dupe is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Soft Glam, except for the insanely vibrant yellow gold. But the other tones in both palettes are actually fairly similar. So if you do love this one, it's possible that you may love this one. And again, if you've already got this one, you may not need this one. The Urban Decay Naked Reloaded is also semi-similar-ish. You've got your warms, you've got your shimmers, your mattes. You got corals, plums, and golds in both palettes. Certainly you don't have that insane gold foil, but the other tones you will find in this one. And then as far as dupes go, I don't really have anything that matches it exactly, The closest thing in my collection that I could find is the Maybelline Nudes of New York. This one's got your warms, your coppers, your mattes, your shimmers. Does have gold in it as well. It's just not the same intensity as the gold in this one, but it certainly is a very, very similar color story. Now, as far as my actual thoughts on this palette, I'm a little bit mixed. So for starters, it is insanely expensive, and to be honest, not that easy to work with. Like I have said multiple times through this video, this is not an eyeshadow palette for beginners. If you struggle with getting eyeshadow payoff, if you struggle with blending, or you're just new to eyeshadows, I'm not going to be recommending this one for you because it definitely takes a certain level of skill and a certain level of finessing to get these shadows to work. And if I am spending this much money on a palette, my personal preference would be that it would be a lot easier to work with than this was. Now, at the same time, I am happy with the eyeshadow look that I got. Like, that gold is literally insane. Like, I feel like they could totally sell this as a single and you wouldn't even need to buy this palette. Like, that gold, oh, I am obsessed with that. And like the way that it sparkles and shimmers on the eyes, like it is such a statement moment. Again, not that easy to use. I did have to reapply it throughout the application of the rest of my makeup. I did use a wet brush. It shows up very foil, very, very intense with a wet brush, but you will see, I mean, it might be showing up on camera, I do have a little fallout with it as well on my skin. So it's certainly not like a perfect formula. The creams in this palette, I feel like they could have skipped out on entirely. I don't feel like they were that great. I ended up going over the eyeliner with a usual felt tip eyeliner. It's kind of annoying that you have to set them down with a black eyeshadow. I feel like it's a bit of a waste. However, this gel hybrid cream shadow here, I really, really like that formula. Like, that is really beautiful. The mattes do blend well. They just don't give that much as far as pigmentation goes. I found that I had to re-dip into the palette and keep blending multiple times, certainly more than I would need to normally with other palettes that I use and love regularly. Yeah, so I mean, there are definitely some cons and there are definitely some pros with this palette. Overall, it is insanely expensive, but it is insanely pretty. And the big question, I think, is, had I not purchased this already, knowing what I know now, would I buy it again? And for me, the answer is honestly no. I would rather have a gold like this in a cream shadow formula and then keep using like the ABH Soft Glam, which is like my most loved and used eyeshadow palette. It is very pretty. It is very satisfying to look at. I love the packaging. I love the overall concept. I just wish that they worked a little bit better, especially for the price. Like $103. I spent $103 on this. Like, it kind of needs to put the kids in bed and mop the floors for me. Like, you know, she's just a little bit tricky to use. So yeah, I guess I'm hoping this will help you make your decision on whether or not you are going to be picking it up. Would I look at it all day? Absolutely. It's just, it wasn't like, oh, a 2-second eyeshadow look with this one. Like, you definitely need to take your time to get this palette to work. But I hope that you guys really enjoyed this video. As always, if you've got any questions about anything that you've seen, any more questions about the palette, any more questions about dupes, any more questions about anything, be sure to pop them in the comment section down below. I'll be hanging out down there and answering them for you. And I would love to know, are you going to be picking up this palette? Would you invest that much money in it? Let us know down in the comments what you think of that as well. All right, guys, I love you heaps. I hope you're having an amazing day, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye.